Good morning, Rian Kutsia, Fortis Proactive Defense Solutions. I am talking to Shalto Skuman, the lead instructor of the Lone Operator Training course. And today we are doing the first episode in a series called Survive the Fight. Shalto, good morning and welcome.
Thank you very much, Rian. Thank you for having me back. It's always a pleasure.
Okay, Shalto, so the first episode we're going to be talking about mindset over marksmanship. And, I realized that a lot of people will immediately frown at that because, what are you now saying about marksmanship? I mean, we realize how important your marksmanship is, and that's the whole idea of all the training that Lone Operator provides. But it starts before you pick up a weapon, and you need to make a choice that whichever weapon you decide you want to use in such a violent confrontation to try and save your life, you need to make a choice and a decision that you will actually be willing to do just that. If you can't, well, in that specific second that you need it most, odds are that you may fail to do so, which will present yourself a problem. I mean, I'm going to use a friend of mine. We were sitting in traffic one day, and she stopped right on the backside of the car in front of us. And I said to her, "Why are you doing that?" She says, "What's wrong with it?" So I said, "Why don't you leave a space? What are you going to do if something happens and you need to get away?" And she was genuinely confused by my question. Like, she's never thought about this. So I said to her, or she said to me, "Well, what would you do?" And I said, "Well, here's a pavement, and then there's a street light, and there's some other road sign, and there's a gap between the two. Okay, so in the spot that we're standing, if I have enough space, I'm going to climb this pavement, and I'm going to go straight through those two poles, and I'm going to get out of here." And she was like, "But that's going to damage my car." And I said, "Yes, but you'll be alive. Which do you prefer?" And she was adamant that she will not damage her car like that. And that's exactly the mindset part that we're talking about. If you cannot if something happens, you're gonna just sit there and basically wait for it to happen and hope for the best, instead of being able to go into some sort of action, whether that action is getting away, preferably, or whether that action is defending yourself. So it's to me, it's the very foundation of surviving such a violent encounter, or at least increasing your odds of surviving, because nothing is 100% certain. Mindset, awareness, intent before the skill even. So what would you say does having the right mindset really mean in the context of self-defense and survival?
Yeah, that's a very good point, Rian. I see it with the martial art guys, and then purely the weapon mounted, the weapon specialist. From a young age, I've been doing martial arts, and I would like to believe that martial arts teaches you a mental toughness. If you take jujitsu, there's a ton of pressure coming down on you. And the one thing that they teach you, is this life threatening, or is this just uncomfortable? Okay. So when I'm in a physical fight, yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. There's going to be rounds flying past my head. I'm going to be on the ground. Stones and stuff are going to hit my knee. It's going to be uncomfortable, but it's not going to be very comfortable for you. It's you're going to be in a state of panic, and you're going to have to fight back. So mental toughness is very important. And then I always get the guy that says, uh, I'm going to go red. You don't want to see me when I get cross. Yeah, I think that's foolish. Either way of the spectrum, either you totally aggressive and you fight back, or you get the timid guy that doesn't want to fight and he freezes. But once you get the correct kind of training, I need to channel that aggression into a
Mm.
more focused type of, do I draw my firearm? Um, do I, or can I talk my way out of this without getting into a physical altercation? Do I fight with my hands first and earn my right to draw? Because a lot of people get weapon fixated.
Yes.
I can't just pull a firearm, and I've seen this before happen in front of my eyes. There's a argument starting, and the guy pulls his firearm. That's serious charges getting against you. And I also don't want to be that citizen where that is the last resort. So I can't just go aggression. I need to channel that aggression. You know,
Yes.
and then what we also teach is situational awareness. Like you just said now, with the car, and I like that. A car is a weapon. You're not weapon fixated. I only have a firearm. I only have a knife. I have a car as well. You know, so we teach the guys immediate action draw. If I can give you an example, I'm at a traffic light. There's a car in front of me. If I'm situational aware, I'm going to have a little bit of space between me and the first car just to
Mm.
maneuver myself out of that situation. Should there be a hijacking, or should there be any attack for that matter? We live in South Africa, cash and transit heist happens now in front of you, and I'm going to have the space that I create for myself through situational awareness to maneuver myself out of that situation. So
Exactly. And
mental
that to me,
toughness is
that
extremely
that's part
important.
of the thinking, because for me it's even more basic than a firearm or a knife or a baton or pepper spray or whatever. It is basically the mindset of what is around you in any given moment that you may be able to use,
Yeah, correct.
to, if should something happen. And a lot of people will and have at this point said that now you've been paranoid. And it's not the case. To me, paranoia is a problem between your ears. It's a mental problem. Preparedness is a state of mind where you are relaxed. But I mean, if I just look around myself right now as I'm sitting, I've got a tin mug that I'm
Mhm.
sure if I whack you in the face with it, it's going to hurt. There's a pair of scissors that I see that you
Yeah,
can use. I don't know, cut your clothes off and make you feel self-conscious
that's
when you're
100%.
naked or something.
If you speak to a knife specialist,
Mhm.
I had the privilege of speaking to one of the best knife specialists in South Africa, and I said to
Yes.
him, how do I draw faster? How do I draw my knife faster? And he says, where are we? And we were at that
Yeah.
stage, we were sitting in a restaurant. And I said to
Mhm.
him, no, we're in a restaurant. He says, okay, but look around you. The steak knife is already on the table. I don't need
There we
to
go.
draw faster. The knife is already drawn. I just need to pick it up and stab. So
Exactly.
teaching you mental toughness or mental fortitude in a combat situation, it's more than just aggression and fighting back. We teach the guys to think in a chaotic environment.
That's it. I just as an aside, I also have a rubber ducky. So I don't quite know what I'm going to do with it, other than maybe disturb you with a noise. But you know, it is there. In any case, Shelton.
Yes.
How does I mean, the next thing that flows out of this, and it does so almost naturally, is that it's something that you've mentioned already. It's your situational awareness, knowing what goes on around you. Because if you don't, even if you have the right mindset, even if you're armed to the teeth, even if you've made all the choices, even if you've trained, if you are get, if you are caught unawares and you're caught by surprise, then the odds, your odds of survival goes down dramatically. It's then it's all in the favor of whoever happens to be coming for you at that moment and putting you in danger. So how does it all fit in together or fit together if you're talking having the situational awareness after you've now gotten the right mindset, you've spoken to people, you've attended training, you now the way you think about these things is different now. Um, how do you look at situational awareness? How does it fit in? And more importantly, because it's actually not that difficult to attain a better sense or a heightened sense of situational awareness. How do you start right now to change that?
Okay. Yeah, obviously training, but if I can get the viewers or the listeners some tips, and only things that come to mind is breathe. I see a lot of guys that in a situation they freeze up, and a lot of ladies, and I'm not being sexist, but a lot of ladies says, "But I freeze." You know,
Hmm.
you need to breathe. Okay, breathing is the first step, and then locking in mentally, I would say.
Hmm.
Keep yourself moving, because a lot of guys say, okay, let's give a scenario. Give me your purse, and he's got a gun against your head. I need to survive that situation, so I need to start moving, and that's not meaning literally moving. I need to keep my mind engaged to get to the next step. Um, to speak back and or talk to the guy and say, okay, I'm giving you this, please don't hurt me, be more submissive in that situation, and like I said, don't freeze, stay moving. Um,
Hmm.
use fear, don't feed it, is the other thing. Because a lot of people get that fear and then that sort of freezes you. Okay, I need to control that fear. And I don't think people understand what happens to the body. The body is created to install the fear. So what basically happens is you get a dump of adrenaline. Okay, you get audio exclusion, all right, and you get a narrow sense of seeing. You
Hmm.
get tunnel vision. And your senses heighten. Your heart starts pumping, and it starts blood starts pumping into the major muscles. Your body is basically preparing you for the fight, you know. But a lot of people give into that situation. So the body is preparing to fight. You now need to control that fear, okay,
Yes.
and then start thinking what's your next step and how to survive, that situation. And then
Okay.
another thing.
Sorry, while we're on that now, because that to
Yeah,
me is your survival psychology, fight or flight or freeze. So
correct.
let's talk about that and then come back to situational awareness, because the situational awareness is where you create the space to better prepare yourself mentally
Yeah,
for exactly what we're talking about. So while we're now on this subject, let's discuss that. Basically, when something happens, it's almost as if instinct kicks in. It's a very base sort of survival or scenario and reaction, and everybody reacts different. I mean, I've heard some of my female friends say to me that if something like that happens, they go into a fight mode. They just want to fight. Sure, but you have to also choose the situation. It's not necessarily always the right place to fight if you can rather get out of the situation. So you have to be able to discern that and let it influence your choice. Do I get the hell out or do I start shooting? It's not always ideal to start shooting, or even start fighting. Um, so how do you train your mind to remain functional when something like that happens? And this is what we're talking about now, where the breathing, you have to get the breathing right. So you guys teach people a specific form of breathing, or do you just talk about it a lot as well? Because if you can't control your breathing, you really can't control anything.
correct. We teach the guys how to breathe, and it's in your seven fundamentals as well. The last fundamental is breathing, because a lot of people, when we're talking about weapons now, especially firearms, they tend to freeze up and then hold their breath, and that basically moves their muzzle. Um, so we teach the guys how to breathe and work through that. And then I've mentioned moving. Yes, we install. If I'm not shooting, I am moving and reloading my weapon. Um, but what we mean about moving is, yes, that is the physical function. But like I said, I need to keep moving here. I can't freeze here because this is my computer. This gives me the guide to my next step of survival. And then also situational awareness. What is happening around me? Where's my exits? To give you an example, my wife actually was in a potential hijack on Euphues Road. And what she basically did, and this was in student days, I wasn't as developed or knowledgeable as what I was now with self-defense. But once she saw the guy coming up to the window, she panicked, and then she basically drove into the guy in front of him. The guy, luckily, jumped out, and he was aggressive, and he said, what are you doing? You're driving into my
Yes,
my
yes.
4x4 bucky, And she says, I just got attacked. There's the guy running away, So using my environment to help me, that guy's a big, strong guy with a bucky. Let him fight the fight for me. I don't need to be in the fight all the time. And
Yes.
if I talk about, and especially our anti-hijacking with softer skills, we teach the guys to fight with in and out of the vehicle. But let's put you in a situation where my wife and my two kids are in the car, or how many kids you might have, are in the car, or my loved ones are in the car. Do you really want to fight? Do you really want to pull your
Exactly.
firearm and draw that engagement? No, you don't. You want softer skills and to get out of and talk yourself out of that fight and get away. Especially. But coming back to your question, I need to be engaged. Yeah. Okay, so I need to breathe. I need to keep my mind engaged. And then I have to be situational aware of what's happening around me to give me those options for my next step and to move along,
Yeah.
with the
And
fight.
it can be a very mundane, everyday situation. You are going to your favorite pub to go watch a Springboks game,
Yeah.
and people are boozing, and suddenly somebody or a table of people gets aggressive and they start throwing things around, or they want to start swinging fists for whatever reason. Um, Maybe the waiter upset them. Um, when
Okay.
you're doing this, your sort of intellect levels tend to go down generally. That's just how it works. Um, you it's the same
Yeah, you sort
mindset.
of tap
And
into your most primitive brain.
yes, now the mindset and everything is the same. This psychological process that we're talking about, the survival psychology, is the same. Do you want to? You there with your kids or with your friends? It doesn't matter. All by yourself. Do you want to hang around and see what happens with the attitude of, let them touch my table,
Mhm.
then we'll see? Or do you just want to put money on the counter, call a waiter, say to him, I'm waiting for you at the door, bring the bill so I can pay you, and get yourself and your family out of there, and let these people sort the fight out by
Yeah.
themselves? You don't need to be there. And that's part of just being aware, just thinking, just being in the mindset of taking some form of action rather than taking some form of inaction, just sitting there. Because you don't know, the guy's drunk. Maybe he pulls out a firearm and he starts shooting. You don't know what goes on in his mind. So,
Yeah.
but in a lot of cases, people are basically just going to sit there and wait it out. No, somebody will stop it now, or the guy will stop. You just don't know. So it can be as simple as that. It doesn't even have to be a case of you are actually being attacked by a criminal. And that's where I think a lot of people miss the message completely.
Yeah. Just to give you an example, as our instructors, normally have range days by ourselves where we just want to sharpen up on something, or we're testing a course or something like that. And on this
Mm,
day, we were a couple of guys, big guys, and you know, we sort of branded and we've got our weapons. And afterwards, it was a very hot day. And we just said, okay, just a couple of beers, guys, and then we're gonna go off. And we actually went to the local watering hole, and as we walked in, we had a guy that was watching soccer. And as we walked in, you could sort of see he's now pinpointing us. And
mm,
as the instructors, I'm not going to mention names, as the instructors walked past, he was sort of nudging the guys. And be it as it may, I was the last instructor, and as I walked by, he sort of blocked me, and
mm.
he said to me, "What you gonna do?" And I just waved to the instructors, and I said to them, "Enjoy the drinks." And afterwards, there was a big chuckle about it. I thought, this is Schulte Skuman. This guy's gonna be knocked on his behind. So, and I took that as a lesson, and I said to the
Yes,
guys, we're at a watering hole, we're drinking beer, I've got weapons. You know, yes, the ego takes a knock. The
mm.
the the
Sure.
the primitive brain takes a knock. But I went home that night to my family and to my kids and my wife. And I wasn't actually supposed to be there. I've got weapons on me. Um, that's not the right place to be. And the best mental thing that you can do is just walk away. your
Absolutely.
your your mentality or your ego gets a bruise, so what? It's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. But the reality is, Shop, that there are many people are armed most of the time, or even all the time. It's not just one or two or three people. So you can pretty much take it as a guarantee, I think, if you go to any sort of watering hole, any pub, any restaurant for that matter, any movies, mall, doesn't matter. There's always going to be people armed, irrespective of the fact that
Yeah.
places have a sign up that says, you're not allowed to be armed. You
Mm.
can take it as a guarantee that there will be armed people. I mean, that
Yeah.
is just the way it is.
I
Um,
take my brother-in-laws, for instance, and these guys are not in my profession. They're not in the firearms industry.
mm,
They're normal businessmen, and they carry every single day. Just standing around a braai, there's four guys being or that's armed.
yes,
Um, So yeah, it's a bad place to be in, and it's also a
exactly.
bad place to start an argument. So
Absolutely. And the thing for me there is part of the mindset is also the self-control. As a
correct,
responsible, specifically a firearms owner, but even if it doesn't matter what to, even if it's pepper spray, if you're in a busy place and you take out that pepper spray and you start spraying people left, right, and center, you are going to have a problem with the law. That is just the way it is.
correct, yeah,
So there always has to be that um, awareness that you need to be in control of your feelings and your butt hurt and everything that goes along with that. So if you're standing around the braai or you're going in somewhere and you have a beer, you have to have the discipline to say, okay, I'm going to have one beer. Ideally, it would have been best to just go home. But at
correct.
the end of the day, we're all human, you know.
Mm.
So the discipline comes in and saying, okay, we're going to have a beer and then we're going to bugger off home. We're not going to stay there and get falling down drunk and everything that goes with it, which increases odds of anything. Anything can happen. So that to me is part of the whole mindset thing, is the fact that you must have the sufficient self-discipline um, to either not get yourself into potential situations where there is a heightened chance of something happening, or be of the mindset that if something happens like this, because a drunk guy can confront you out of the blue, you can sit there and like, what? what are you talking about?
Mm.
You don't know what happened. Anything can happen in a drunk guy's mind. Anything.
No, I totally
Okay,
agree.
anything is possible. And you must have the wherewithal to say, okay, you know what? I am going to just withdraw myself out of the situation. I'm not going to get my gun out and start shooting or break a chair on your head just because I can or just because I now feel affronted or whatever the case might be. So this whole psychology thing can get very deep and very interesting. But I think that's the basis of it. So I want to now get back to the situational awareness part of that. And, if you're listening or watching this video, please let us have your comments below. Tell us what you think. Tell us maybe of situations that you've experienced where these things had to come into play, or maybe you slipped up with it, heaven forbid. But let's get back to situational awareness, knowing what's potentially coming before it's there. How do I improve that? How can I either teach myself or have somebody teach me to improve my levels of situational awareness? Because most people are blissfully unaware, whether they're driving or walking, they are completely stuck in there. Even when they're driving, they're stuck in those phones. How do I change that?
Rian, it starts with training. If you talk about Cooper's color coding, white, yellow, orange, red, and then black. It all sounds educational, and yes, Cooper color coding. I'm not going to go into all the colors now. I'm going to not bore you with that detail, but the listeners can go and Google it, Cooper's color coding. But it starts off with training. If we do a vehicle combat course, we tell the guys of the immediate action drill, keep 2 meters away from the tires. If I can see the front car's tires, I know I am at a safe distance. And yes, we're going to stuff it up. So I now get that information. I have to process that. And then, yes, I'm going to stuff it up. And then I'm going to get close to the bumper. Next time, I'm going to tell myself, okay, we made that mistake. Next time, I'm going to a little bit further from the car. And then you'll start to see that it's instinctive. It just happens instinctively. So training is very important, be it martial arts or weapons training. I advise both. And then, we're going to stuff it up and it needs to be in a daily basis. And you'll see, a couple of times or a couple of months that you've installed this way of living, it happens automatically. My wife and family get very upset with me, because I have that mental fortitude already, where I stop a little bit away from the vehicle to give myself space to maneuver, and yeah, weapons at a strategic place always, and the kids know what to do and when to do it. So training is very important part of also your mental fortitude. And then what I also believe in training is that you sort of develop a refusal to fold, to give in, as you stick with the programs. And it's not going to happen overnight. But as you stick with the martial arts and you stick with your weapon training, you sort of get that mental fortitude not to fold. Just survive the next minute. Just survive the next 5 minutes. Let's just get to a water break. Then after that, next, let's survive this shoot. Let's survive this push up. And at the end of the day, you get to a point where you've done the course, you feel proud of yourself, and you can go home and you're going to sleep it off, because you're going to be tired. But that just a little bit. I just need to get to the next part. I just need to get to that net part. And what I always tell
That's
the
yeah,
students is, I'm not
that's
going
the
to give
intent.
in.
You
Yeah.
have to have that intent and willingness. But I just want to,
Yes.
before we move completely off topic with the
I think that
situational
is where
awareness,
you get into the why. And that's what I tell the students
yes,
is,
that's it.
what is your why? Where do I have to be tonight? I have to
Mm,
be with my family. I have to provide for my daughter and my son and my wife. So that why that I'm doing this, that I'm getting the training, that I'm going through all this crap, with the instructor shouting at me. What is my motivation? What is my why? And
Yes.
that sort of gets you through things.
So just before we completely move off the topic of the situational awareness, if I want to start today to improve my situational awareness, if I listen to this video, hopefully, even if it's just one person and who looks at this and listens to this and decide that is a problem of mine and I need to sort that. Where do they start? What do they go and find on Google and YouTube and research so that they can start getting that info and start applying this? Tell us about the OODA loop and the Cooper color code, because I think that's the basic info.
Yeah, the Cooper's color coding is starting off in white, and I'm just going to touch on it briefly. But the Cooper's color coding is you're starting off in a white situation where I'm totally out of situational awareness. I don't know what's happening around me, and that would be an example of somebody just looking at his cell phone. I'm stopping at a traffic light and then I pick up the phone, and it it happens to all of us. There's that urgent phone call, that's that urgent mail. But I tend to have to step out of that situation because you live in South Africa. It's they and predators actually prey on this. They check the guy, they see the guy that's not in the zone. If I can give you another example, I always get this with the housewives, doing shopping. They got the trolley, and now the kid is on the leg of the mom, and she's battling, and she's got keys in her hand, and she wants to pay the car guard, and it just looks like a shamble, if and then you take the other housewife that's got the kids inside of the trolley. All the shopping is in the trolley. She's walking up straight. She's got prepped already the 2 Rand or the 5 Rand coin for the car guard. And she looks and she sees her surroundings. That person, 80% of the time, is not going to get attacked because the threat is too much.
Exactly.
Where the guy that is, or the lady that's totally in a shambles and she hasn't got her act together, that lady is going to be attacked.
That's where you find people who land at OR Tambo from a flight, get their car that they've left in the basement there for a week or whatever, and drive back to Pretoria, and they get robbed or hijacked in their driveway. And then it turns out that those guys have been following them from OR Tambo, and they never picked them up. That's when your situational awareness completely fails you. So what would, over and above studying the Cooper color code and the OODA loop, observation, orientate yourself, decide, and act. It's a continuous circle, and understanding how these two fit in with each other to your benefit. There is a video on our YouTube channel where I had a much more in-depth discussion about these two with Roel Wildenboer, one of the senior loan operator instructors. So do go find that video and check it out. But it's such a potentially life-saving skill at the end of the day, where it can actually get you in a situation where you don't have to fight, or you don't have to even flee. You can just avoid, which is ideal. It is that important.
You've touched on the point there, earlier in the interview where you said, what do I do? Where do I start? And it's simple. And I think we know what the answer is just don't be there. And that sounds very simple, but we know where the pubs are that are the dangerous pubs or the dangerous watering holes. We know the areas that are dangerous. Don't go there with your wife and your kid. Just don't be there. And we know the dangerous places in South Africa. If I have to go out, go to a safe place.
I will never forget years ago on a course, a guy asked Dion, I'm walking down a dark alley and three guys jumped me. What is the best way to sort them out? And Dion looked at him like this and he said to him, what were you doing in the dark alley? And
Yes.
that's exactly it. That is exactly the whole point at the end of the day. Try, if you know something, there's a place or whatever that might increase the chances of something happening, then try and avoid it. You can't always.
You
You
know,
might be you might be one of those trials running guys where you mountain bike out there in the bundus. That's your sport. That's what you love. That's your outlet and everything. So it's going to be difficult to let the potential of a problem stop you from doing that. And at the end of the day, you don't want to. But the awareness, the preparedness, all of that comes into play when you do things like that. Where
it's
there's
a true story. I think that it gets better with age. In your 20s, you sort of want to prove, well, nothing's going to stop me. I'm going to go to that pub,
yes,
and
yes,
you know, if a guy confronts me, I'm going to use my skills, my martial art skills, to put this guy in his place. But as you get older, you tend to stay away from that, and you've got more to lose as well when you get older. So I think that also sorts it out. But for the youth, it's just not worth it. I've
no,
seen a guy, and we all know the stories where he got into a bar fight and he knocked the guy at the wrong place, at the wrong time. Bumped his head and he fell onto the curb, and that guy's dead, and the other guy goes to prison. It's just not worth
it's
it.
not worth it. No, it's
Yeah.
not worth it. I think to
If I really
summarize
have
that,
to and I need to defend my family, that is also part of your why, why we're doing this. We also want to have a good time, with our training. We understand our weapons and
of
stuff. It's
course,
all not
yeah.
just all blood and gore. But we want to have a good time. We want to increase our skills, and we want to be protectors and providers for South Africa and for our families. So that's a strong why.
Get your head or get your face out of your phone.
Yes.
That helps. That helps a lot
Yeah.
because we're so stuck. And I mean, you just have to you just have to do a quick walk in any shopping center or any mall to see exactly what I mean. People they are like this, whether they seated or walking around, it's irrelevant. It's right there. Um, you can have 10 guns on you. You're
Yeah.
not going to get a chance to use it. That's the bottom line. That's what the conversation is all about, giving yourself a fighting chance.
And
So,
I
having
don't know
said that,
if this is off topic, Rian, but
yeah,
I tell the guys as well, please don't share, or show that you are carrying a weapon.
yes,
If I show that I'm carrying a weapon, that weapon becomes not mine, but the attacker's as well. All that he needs to do is catch you off guard. You are with your head in your phone. He sees you carrying that weapon, and now he
yes,
attacks you, and now it becomes a fight for that weapon. So, what I mean about that is now it becomes the attacker and my weapon because now he wants that weapon, and now it's a fight.
exactly.
So situational awareness is also keeping calm, wear pink if you must, blend in. These tactical beards always
Yes,
stand out, you know. Um, so yeah, I want to be the gray man. I want to blend in, and
as,
the
as far as
attacker
possible, yes,
doesn't want
yes,
to see me as a threat, a potential threat.
exactly.
Don't wear the Glock t-shirts and kill them all and let God sort them out. Please don't do that.
Preferably,
Yeah.
preferably not. Yes. So, I want to move on to mindset versus skill. And I mean, you've been teaching people these skills for a very long time now. So you've seen a lot of things, and among others, you've seen a lot of experienced shooters or fighters, for that matter,
Hmm.
who have failed under stress for various reasons. Why does that happen, and how can you integrate? We've loosely discussed these things, but I want to get it all together now. How can you integrate the mindset with the marksmanship to prevent that happening?
Okay, so now we're purely talking about, tactical, the tactical mindset. All right. So yes, once you start off with training, and again, training for with anybody that you see fit. What I start off with is starting off with the basics. Yes, get your basics under control. That's what we do in our first year. In the second year, you'll see the instructors start working with your mind. Okay. And just to give you a stupid example, is I would say I have to hate what I'm firing at. Okay. Put yourself in a situation where I'm fighting for my family. Now, if you want to get my blood red, okay, you touch my daughter. Okay. I love the little thingy. And she wraps me around her pinky. But I get a situation where my daughter's life is in danger, okay, and then I don't see the target anymore. I see a potential attacker wanting to hurt my family. All right, and that is where we get the red guy that sees red, to channel that energy, because now I need to still function. I still have fine motor skills that I need to apply. I still need to rack my firearm. I need to do a mag change. And I need to be cognizant of, my daughter being in the hands of that attacker, and then take that sharp shooter skill and put the bullet where I want it. So we teach the guys to channel that aggression. The other spectrum as well, the guy that is freezing or the lady that is freezing, we channel them to basically put their mind engaged or put it into first gear. And then what is the next step? Yeah, we have some harsh ways of doing it where we shout at you and we basically bump you and stuff, but it's student dependent. Some people don't focus and don't react when I punch and or not punch them, shout at them, and put them under pressure. And that's a different student where we sort of then guide and gradually build up to a fighter, to a better fighter. So it's situational dependent and it's student dependent. And your level 2 and 3 instructors are very not educational, but the experience picks up on it. And you'll sort of see that they'll bump you off to a different instructor, not because we don't like you, but your pace of learning is going to be different than the groups. So it's not that we don't like you. It is because we want to get you to a state where you can fight back. And we are successful with that sort of way of teaching. So it's sort of a guide of what you can expect on our training courses, and from the level 2 and 3 instructors.
I think in summary, I want to call it a holistic approach, because everybody wants to talk about the training all the time, and we will. So stay tuned for episode 2 of this series, Survive the Fight, because we'll get to all of that. We'll get to more of the sort of legal side of things as well. But for this episode, the holistic approach that I'm referring to me, and you can tell me if you think I'm understanding this correctly after our conversation, but you have to create the mindset that you will do something, take some action. Then you have to have the situational awareness and the psychology that goes along with that. All of these things go hand in hand, and the intent and the willingness to fight or take an action should you have to. And that action doesn't have to be a fight. That action can be getting the hell out, but being more prepared to do that. I mentioned this when I spoke to her as well. I went to a concert at a well-known theater company. They have various branches all over the place. and I was with a group of people, and we went in and sat down. And the first thing I did, because this is just how I do things, is I said to them, just excuse me a minute. And I was walking around the place, checking the exits. And I even went down the exit to see where the closest exit, where it brings me to, where I would end up, because I wanted to know. And they were all like, what are you doing? Why did you do that? And I said, if a fire breaks out in this theater while we're sitting here watching the show, I know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Because that's just how my mind works. And that to me is the whole, it's part of this whole holistic preparedness. It doesn't mean that nothing can happen to you. It doesn't mean to say that you can't lose. It doesn't mean to say you can't get hurt or worse. It just means you are actively juggling the odds in your favor. Do you agree with
It
that?
sort of lets me think about, if you are in a situation and your life is in danger, look for the calmest person, and he's got the plan. You know.
That makes sense. Yes. That makes sense. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Shalto, I'm gonna unless you've got something to add, I think we've said quite a bit today. I trust the viewers will find value with that. I'm going to stand off with that then. So if you liked what we were discussing and you found value in it, like the video, subscribe to the channel, smash that bell icon so that you can get notifications of coming episodes. Okay, remember this was episode 1, so there's more to come. And if you've got something to add or a comment or an experience that you want to share, please use the comments. If you are interested in anything to do with the loan operator training, there's a link in the description below. Check it out and get your info, and hopefully we see you on a shooting range one of these days. Shalto, thank you so much for your time and
Always a
sharing some of
pleasure.
your
Thank you,
experience
Riaan.
with us. We'll talk again soon. Thanks.
Thank you.